Look, I know one of the biggest bonuses of a podcast is being able to skip through things you don't want to hear about, but I would encourage you just to sit tight for just a second, because as the war in Ukraine enters month 3, it's hard to believe it's been that long, and you watch all the stories of families being displaced and lives being shattered, and you think, man, that's really sad. I wish there was something I could do about it. Here's the cool thing. You and me and all the potties could get together and actually maybe make a difference by helping families in Ukraine who have been displaced by all this violence. There's nearly 11 million people that have been forced out of their homes. And imagine that. You can't take everything with you. You've got to just pick and choose the few things you can carry as you try to get your family to safety. They say desperate times calls for desperate measures. Well, these are desperate times. That's why the Wally Show is partnering with Food for the Poor and 3,500 pastors in Ukraine and surrounding countries to help feed these people. And here's what's really cool. You can provide a meal for 25 cents, a quarter what we plug into a gumball machine. You could actually feed a child a meal. So now do some math with me. Your gift of $1 would actually feed a family of 4. Your gift of $10 sends 40 meals. Your gift of $25 will feed 100 people who desperately need it. So while this is a really sad story on the world stage, it is really cool to see the difference that a few motivated potties could make. So text the word Wally to 91999. That's Wally, W-A-L-L-Y, to 91999, and we'll send you a link to make a difference today. Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. All the things we did not get to during the course of the show today. It's just Betty Rock and I today. Gavin has left here with great haste because he might be getting a dog today, Jasper. And it's crazy because he's been trying to get this dog for a while. Like, it's the same breed as the dog he has, and it's super cute. And so he's been talking to the foster family and you know, and so he's been really intent on trying to get a time to meet with them and stuff like that. So the foster family is taking it back to the Humane Society, and then they're meeting at the Humane Society to come see the dog. So he's done all this groundwork and all this legwork, and he calls the Humane Society yesterday, and they're like, well, we can't hold it for you. He's like, but I kind of made an appointment with these people, and they're like, that's not how this works. Sorry, first come, first serve. Like, wait a minute. Do you want me to like have this dog go to a loving home? And like, why are you making this difficult on me? I've done the legwork.
Maybe because they've been taken in the past with people thinking that they were going to come and then they didn't.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know, man. It's just like, it's kind of.
But
like,
I think they'll get the dog.
Well, they had to go. Like, she had to leave work to go do it. We let Gavin leave work to go do it, just so that they could be there right when the place opened. You know, and then so they're having their dog with them to meet this dog to see how they interact and stuff, which is a great little doggy play date there. But I think even Gavin, as mild-mannered as he is, he was even frustrated by, like, I've done all these other things. Why can't you, you know, just give me a little bit of time to get in there, you know, versus wanting this animal and then somebody else comes in and picks one up on a whim. Like, oh, that one's cute. You want that? Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. But anyways, he could be the owner of 2 dogs.
Yeah, the dark side of this conversation off the air was, you know what? You should go adopt it and then take it to another shelter. Like, just to teach them a lesson.
It's terrible.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I had a similar situation with Haley. When we moved here, my daughter Haley, she was 8. And each time we moved, because I moved her around a little bit when she was younger because of my job. And it's like one time it cost me a trampoline, and this time it was like 2 cats. And so she had...
You're still paying for that one.
Yeah, I know. I still have Sasha, 15 years later. But she had seen Hank. Hank was her cat. Like, that was the one she picked. I picked Sasha. And Hank was truly the greatest cat in the world. And then he kind of became Marty's cat, and Marty loved that cat more than some people in the house, I think. Loved that cat. But there was a time where they wouldn't hold the cat either, and so I was doing the same scramble thing to get there to get the cat, and Haley was concerned because we were out of town, and she was so concerned that over the weekend he was going to get adopted. And you're trying to tell her, maybe if it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be, you know, and it'll be okay, and all the you know, things you lean on.
Parenting things.
Yeah, and you're hoping that it's going to work out. Unfortunately, it did. And so hopefully that's the same thing for Gavin. Speaking of parenting things, oh my goodness gracious, the conversations happening today regarding the shooting at Robb Elementary is rough for a lot of people. It's already getting uber political. for people. There are people that don't know how to really navigate this, like in the media. Like, what do you say? Thoughts and prayers are with you. You know, like that always feels like so disingenuous. And it's when you don't have anything else to say, you throw that out there. You know, like I'm a real big proponent of, if you say, hey, I'm praying for you, you need to do it. You know, like if I tell someone I'm praying for them, I am. And if I don't say it, then I know it's because I'm not going to, and I don't want to be that person that's disingenuous about it. And so I understand, like, you're doing news reports and you don't know what to say and how to say it and stuff. And even for us, it's challenging to know what to say, even though we have a faith component of this. And, you know, God can work all things for his good and things like that hurt in the moment. And while it's true, you don't want to tell that to somebody that just lost their kid. But on the fringe, we can at least look at it and go, you know what? There will be good that comes out of this. But that's not a thing that I'm going to tell a parent today, you know, that just lost their kid. But there is truth to that. You know, it always happens. The story a week from now is completely different than the story the day it happens. And you see stories of heroism, and you see, there was one officer, he's a border patrol officer, because it's kind of like a border town where this happened. And he was like, you know, in the worst of humanity, I have seen countless times, the best of humanity comes to the surface, you know. And so while you have this one disturbed individual who just, for whatever reason, decided to commit these atrocities, there will be far more people that rise to the occasion and extend love, kindness, forgiveness, grace, you know, and that will be a good story inside of this, but it doesn't change it for the families.
No, and I hate how one person, this 18-year-old boy, he changed the lives of so many in a negative way, all because he didn't have what he needed to become a responsible adult. And, you know, it says that he was living with his grandmother. It makes you think, well, where were his parents?
Right.
And I know that
what happened there.
We live in a broken world. Like, I get that. And I'm not a parent, so I can only say so much. But it's so sad to think that because of whatever happened in his family dynamic, he's changed almost 20 more families.
Oh, for sure.
Could be for the worse.
Hundreds of people, and as you ripple that out to grandparents and friends, thousands of people will be affected by his decision today.
Yeah, and you know, they were talking about on the news, they were talking to some of his classmates and asking how he was, and he did have friends, but he was also really odd in the fact that he bragged about cuts that he would put on his own body, and he was very recluse, kept to himself. Kids need navigation, or parents or school personnel need to be involved in those things. And I don't know what the answer is, but I feel like what you were saying earlier on the show was, you know, this kind of stuff needs to start happening when they're young, you know, getting them the help that they need.
Because the reality is, this isn't a thing that happened overnight. This was years in the making for somebody becoming disenfranchised. And like we think that it's just the gun laws problem, and that's the tip of the iceberg. Like, I do support gun laws that make it harder to get firearms, especially if you have anything in your past or red flags and things like. Absolutely, I do own a gun. I'm a responsible gun owner, you know. But for me, if they wanted to do a more in-depth background check on me, fine. I don't care. I don't think that impedes my liberty or my right. I think it's a good step. And if we could at least find some common ground there, that would be a great start in the wake of this thing. Because I don't think you're going to take it away. But then I was wrong about Roe v. Wade, too. I thought, you're never going to mess with that. And then all of a sudden, it looks like that could change. So you never know. But like, I don't know. I don't see this going away, but I do see finding common ground inside of it for the safety of as many people, let alone kids, as we can.
Well, and Democrats, correct me if I'm wrong, but they want all guns to be taken away is pretty much what they want.
That's the general stereotype, basically. Like that's an overgeneralization, but it's not far off. There are parts of Democrats that would be like, take all guns away, and then there are others that are pushing for responsible gun ownership, and then some that are in a hybrid somewhere of that. So even inside their party, they're not 100% aligned, and so
I don't know why we can't come to a decision then, because they keep saying on the news it's stuck. It's stuck on whatever. Right,
in the House and Senate and the debate.
And it's like, well, if we can all agree that higher, better precautions need to be taken if you're going to. But I guess if you're putting that into practice now, that doesn't stop people that already own guns and may go through something that brings them through it.
I would be curious because,
situation.
again, like, is somebody that enjoys shooting, like, I would be curious what the number is, and I need to look this up, of like how many people have successfully defended their home with the use of a firearm, kind of thing.
That would be interesting
like,
to know.
Is it a huge number, or like, because that's our thing. Well, we want to have the right to protect ourselves, but is that number like really actually ultimately small in the amount of that kind of crime? I'm just curious.
Isn't Europe or somewhere?
Yeah, they don't have guns.
They don't have guns.
Right.
So I wonder what the statistics are over there. Like, what do people do to defend themselves there? Do they just carry knives, or
yeah, they
like what's the?
They throw shoes at each other. Yeah, but that's the thing. They still have problems too. They still have shootings too because people get guns. That's kind of the argument, is that if you outlaw guns, this is one of the our arguments for only bad people will have guns, because bad people are going to get guns, they're going to do the bad things. And so the argument is, well, why would they be the only ones to have them? The crazy thing is the right to bear arms was almost like kind of like the people say the separation of church and state. Like, I hear that quoted so many times, and it's so wrong, because it's not to say that faith isn't imposed inside of our laws and because we're like, take God out of everything. Separation of church and state was originally designed so that the government couldn't tell you what religion to be. Like, it wasn't that these two things are mutually exclusive. It was just like, I can't make you be a Baptist, Catholic, or Protestant because that's our new national religion. That's what it was about. It wasn't saying that in God we trust no longer matters. And so with that, I think that there's parts to the gun debate with this as well, with the Second Amendment, and I think there are people that, when this was originally written too, it was so that you could protect not only yourself but be called to arms as well, and that they couldn't take your guns away from you in case of government problems, And so it was a different time, but again, I firmly and will forever believe that that's one component of it. It's not the component. It's one component. The bigger component is intervention throughout a kid's life to keep them from getting to that point. Because if you get a kid that's desperate enough, whether it's a gun, whether it's a knife, whether it's a car, whether it's anything, they're going to do what they're going to do. So the idea is you need to be intentional in these kids' lives so they don't become this.
Well, and also, too, the statistics, it seems like they show that it's typically male.
Yes.
And also, it seems like it's always toward, like, afterwards, they find out that they sent a message through social media on a Reddit page or something that says, wait till tomorrow. Like, everything is kind of like they're foretelling what they're going to do because they want that attention.
Like this case was like that. This kid posted pictures, tagged people, and said, wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there have been cases where somebody has said, hey, what about this? And it has prevented it. And that was not the case. This was a weird case, too, because if you follow more of the story, there's still new details coming out, but the police were already, I guess, in an active chase pursuing this guy.
Yep.
He wrecks his car,
close to the
school, runs into the school before they can apprehend him, and then does all this damage. And then one Border Patrol guy, a cop, rushed in and just shot him and he took fire. Like, so much happened, and so many times we sit there and go, well, where were the police? Where were the guidance counselors? Where was this? Like, this time they actually were going after him, which is crazy.
That's what I don't understand. So I have questions on, like, was the school really what he was aiming for?
Right.
It could have been that he just crashed his car. It just happened to be by the school, and that's where he went.
Yep.
And then also I think, well, why didn't the police stop him when he's running to the school with a firearm?
Right. You just don't know.
They said that he had full protective body gear on, so maybe that stopped. And also, too, cops are in a hard situation where, you can't shoot anyone because you need to be very careful, and then not, because you don't want to be sued by shooting someone that didn't mean anything.
If he's running towards the school, they can't just open fire at a school of windows,
Right.
So,
What I don't understand, though, is that why didn't someone contact the school when they're that close and say, lock it down.
I guess because
That's
it
what I don't
literally
get.
could have been where they didn't know he was going to crash. He crashes and all this unfolds in 30 seconds, you know?
Yeah, maybe so.
Like, that's the thing. We'll find out more of this.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is just, you know, hypotheticals and what ifs and what could have been done. And there's always a postmortem on these things. You look at it and go, well, what could we have done better? Or, you know, what did we do right?
But I think also, like you were saying, you know, gun control is one step, but also getting help.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the people that do this are people that don't have anyone in their lives to tell them, you know, like they don't have friends or they don't have a group of people that they could go to that give them sound advice,
Right.
or they feel like they're in a situation where they're not getting attention, and this is the one thing that will give them attention. And they have nothing to lose.
Well, this kid, there was one kid on the news that said, oh, yeah, I used to be friends with him. And then he would say weird things. And I told him, I'm not going to be your friend anymore because you're just weird, you know. And so enough of that happens. And pretty soon, you know, instead of going, hey, you need help, let me go with you to talk with somebody, or let me help you, you know.
But should that fall in the child's hands?
It shouldn't.
You know?
But if we are more, you know, proactive, even kids, maybe this does change things. You know, again, like you want to erase hate, you got to start at the kid level, and you got to start training kids that it's wrong to hate people, and you know, just for who they are or what they look like and things like that. Otherwise, it just gets propagated. And so, same thing here. Teach kids that, hey, see something, say something. If nothing else, say something. You know, like that's that. Even if you're not the kid, it's not your job to fix this kid. But when you see these things, saying something to an adult that now it is on their radar, and now these people are mandatory reporters and things like that.
Right.
So that could be the biggest. That could be the first step too for these kids.
Well, and parents just having open and honest conversations with their kids, actually finding out what's going on in their life. Because I watched this documentary that was on, I forget where it was, but it was about bullying. And there was this one little kid. He was born premature, so he had some physical disabilities, and he was made fun of at school. And so these cameras would follow him to school, and they would get all these bullying.
Even with cameras present?
Yeah. But, well, they weren't like right beside him, but they'd like be in the back of the school bus, or they'd be down the hallway or whatever.
Gotcha.
But he had a mic on him. And you would hear all these kids like threatening to slit his throat, like all these, and it was terrible. And he's only in the 4th or 5th grade, and he just laughed it off. Like he would just laugh because he wanted to have friends. Right. And so later on, they showed this footage to his mom, and she at the time is married. She's trying to keep their assets afloat. Like, she's got multiple kids. There's a dad involved, but he's working as well. Like, they're both busy. They show her the footage, and she is shocked because he never let that on. She didn't even have any idea that he was even going through something that horrific. He would kind of just laugh it off and just keep going, you know. But I think those are the kids that need help. Those are the kids that the parents need to have conversations with and say, no, I want you to be honest with me and tell me really, how are you feeling? And not have embarrassment for it.
I have literally said this for years, that if you want to trace back a lot of our problems in society, it's in the breakdown of family. And where our families disintegrate, our children disintegrate, you know. And so you can say, oh, well, you're being so conservative and, you know, judgmental. Not at all. My point is, making better decisions in the person that you choose to spend your life with, and making healthier decisions inside of that marriage when you're having kids and raising kids and being involved. If more people were doing that, I think we would see far less of the horrific situations. Are you going to ever get rid of it totally? No. There are broken kids that no matter how much you're involved, no matter what a great parent you are, they are the surprise. But they're the minority. You know, it's the majority is the people that are broken because there's already something bent in them, and then environmentally it gets made worse. And so if we took that more seriously and were involved and present in our kids' life, I think things would look differently.
Do you think, because most of these shooters are male, do you think that the men are doing what they're supposed to?
Oh, absolutely not.
Like, where are they failing, and where could they do better at?
I think one, in not being there, and a lot of times, relationships come apart. Men are just as culpable as women in the relationship falling apart. So there's step one, fight for your marriage. Don't be dumb. Don't do dumb things. Don't do things that get your marriage, ended, for the first thing. But then the other part is being involved with your kids, loving your kids, making sure that you're there for them and with them, and not just providing. I think dads, so many times we look at being a provider as the key role for us. We have to make the money to then, and if I make enough money and if I do enough of this and I get my kid all the things they need, then they're going to be happy. I'm going to be happy and life's good. And then we don't really ever have any deep conversations. We just stay surface with our kids. And for the most part, yes, do kids want new PlayStations? Sure. But most times, having you involved in their lives is far greater. And what they truly want, they want your attention, they want your time, they want your presence. And as dads, I don't know that we've all, not everybody, obviously, but and there's times I haven't done it well. I mean, I would love to say I'm a perfect dad, but there's times I haven't done it well, and there's times I have done it well. You hope that the times you get it right far outweigh the times you get it wrong, so that you have the best chance at not messing up your kid. But I do think that as dads we could do better, and also defining what a man is. I think that's a big thing for a lot of kids. If all you look at, because again, like you wonder why kids become the way they are. Look at the parents, and a lot of times you see a guy that's abusive in high school to his girlfriend. Look at the dad. A lot of times that's happening at home. He's learning that behavior somewhere, and if you got a kid that's, super, intense and macho, or however you want to say that, and is bullying or whatever, look at the dad. Again, there's a good chance that is existing somewhere for him to learn from. Or a dad that talks horribly to his wife. Shut up, and like I can't even fathom that. And I've seen it in people that I know, and that's where kids pick it up, because they're not smart enough to go, oh, this isn't right. Because over time they go, well, this is what relationships look like, right? I mean, that's what you grow up with, is what you believe to be true. And then you get to somewhere else and you see some dad treating the mom with respect and kindness, and you're like, wow, I never knew that kind of thing was possible. Or why would your dad be like that? Because they don't know, because they haven't seen it. So I mean, that's a great question, and I think that a lot of this is on us to be better role models to our kids as men.
Well, and I think as human beings, we can't do the right thing on our own. Like it takes Jesus doing something in our hearts to make us good people, But I think when we're broken and we're trying to do the right thing on our own, we get frustrated, we get angry, we get resentful. I think it's easier to go towards the way of the world. And I'm not saying I'm perfect by any stretch of the means. I have no fingers to point here. No. But I do think it's
most unperfect person on this podcast.
Okay, that's enough. Anyway, I think our TVs, the movies, any kind of advertising is aimed towards these. They sexualize everything. Sure. And so I think boys at a very young age are faced with that, whether it's through their at home or if it's through the school. And boys are going to typically go that way. And when they do, that's when they do find themselves in trouble. They do find where now, because of one decision that they made, there's a child that's now having to pay those those repercussions. Like I'm watching that show.
You've been watching Teen
Unexpected,
Mom? Or yes,
Unexpected.
Exactly.
And it's all these kids that are, babies raising babies.
Oh, absolutely.
And there is not an unselfish bone in their body. And when you're a dad, you have to be, that child has to come first. Mm-hmm. And so that child is having to pay the consequences. And then that just leads on and on and on. I think that's one thing I do find hopeful about people being more verbal with their whole mental health, is that I'm hoping that it will end the stigma of needing to talk to somebody, because if you feel like you need to, do it, and hopefully it's available to those who do feel like they need it and they won't feel embarrassed by it. Right. Or, if anything, that professional will get them the help they need, or at least put someone let someone know what's going on.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a hero move from somebody that is not in a good place to go, I'm really having dark stuff and I need to talk to somebody. Like, and the people that do that, I have nothing but respect for them, to be that aware and then to seek out that help so that it doesn't spiral. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, that was a long conversation about some serious stuff. What do you got for birthdays there, Lady Rock?
Oh, we're skipping Aftercast?
Yeah. We're at 23.
Oh, okay. Let me pull it up because I wasn't ready. All right, here we go. Sydney. No. Oh, jeez. Why do people do this to me? Listen. This is how it's spelled,
Go
okay?
ahead. Yeah.
Syndhi or L? L? Sindel?
Oh.
It's an L. Sindel.
Oh, really?
Your guess is as good as mine.
How old?
11.
I think, oh my gosh, that is so weird. Hang on a second. The email I read, if you've already listened to the podcast, yeah, that's the girl who I read that email about, that she had emailed me when she was 10, had emailed me saying, because she just turned 11, had emailed me a couple weeks ago and saying, hey, I was going through some stuff, and she reached out and her mom was so thankful. That's the same girl.
How'd you say her name?
I didn't. Because I knew it was giving me a problem. Yeah.
See, you're just quickly judging.
I know. I would go with.
At least I tried.
I would go with Sindel. That's what I would go with as well.
I apologize if it is.
Is it from her mom, Katrina?
No.
Oh,
it's from Sindel herself or Signed Hill.
Okay, not
Signed
your fault.
Hill.
Not your fault, girlfriend.
Signed Hull.
Because it's tough to know how.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm turning 11. I love The Wally Show. I love The Sims 4 and Fortnite. I love Jesus. I take martial arts.
Nice.
And I want to be an actress, fashion designer. Holy cow.
Wants to do it all.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, there you go. Happy
No, I have
birthday.
one more.
Oh, well, another one.
Courtney, to her daughter Sophie, said she's turning 3 and is super sweet, loves to read, play with bubbles, and have picnics.
Oh, I love all those things except reading.
She said since she's having a farm party, farm theme, which farm animal do you think each of you is most like? Wally, for sure.
Don't say pig. Don't say pig.
I was going to say a stubborn goat.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, or donkey. I thought you might go donkey, too. I was stuck on the fence between pig or donkey. I thought you might go
Well, you have the goatee thingy like a goat, and you're pretty stubborn.
Yeah, I would go with chicken for Betty.
Why?
Because she's scared of things, and she has chicken legs. And I
like to eat them.
And you're thin. Yes. Well, you're thin, and you walk like your head bobs when you walk like a chicken. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, I was hoping for better, but
no, chickens are great. Love chickens.
You eat them.
Okay. All right. Well, that's going to do it for your Aftercast
As always,
today.
thanks for being a potty.